Hello, friends, and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to check out hang on a sec, actually. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me. I don't normally like to interrupt the episode like this, but it's a topic that I felt the need to speak to directly for quite a while. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's just a reference point to a game jam. It could be anything. We could call it Silly Cow Does a Dance Show. I've seen it pronounced Ludum Dare, Ludum Dare, Ludum Dara, Ludum Dare, Ledem Dara, Ludum Dare, and Ludum Dare. Now, those last two are the ones that I would probably say, but I don't speak Latin. And a lot of you out there do, I guess. And if you do, that's cool. There's no problem with that. You speak Latin all day, but it doesn't change the fact that we don't need to have a big conversation about it every time it comes up. That's why I've been calling it the LD competition, just to avoid the topic. And I shouldn't have to do that. I should just be able to say a word and not have to get into a big debate. It's not a big deal. Like, I'm not actually upset about it, but it's like it's come up so many times, and this is such a big part of the channel. I figured, well, let's just speak to this point, and can we put it to rest? Let's just not discuss it anymore, because it doesn't matter at all. You guys can call it anything you want, as long as I understand what you're talking about, and that's all words do really anyway, right? Words are just a point of reference to understand that someone's trying to put across some kind of meaning, and that's all I'm doing. So anyway, hopefully you're on board, so let's not get into that anymore. Enjoy the episode! Alright, that feels much better. Now that we've got that out of the way, we are going to be checking out Ludum Maze. It's a very unique and very strange little way of encapsulating the vast number of games that get submitted to the LD competition. And this case, specifically, LD29 featured nearly 2,500 games. That's 2,500 games. And what this attempts to do is take all of those links and all of those document pictures and, all the sorting that goes on and kind of put it into a 3D space that we can walk around in. So this in and of itself is not necessarily a game, but it is sort of a game browser or a way that you could perhaps experience many, many more of the games that are produced for each one of these competitions. So in this case, the theme was Beneath the Surface. This was not actually submitted to the LD competition. That would have been very meta, wouldn't it? Creating a way to browse the other ones in the same competition that you had. That didn't happen. But this is just a very kind of strange and unique little wonderful thing. And I realize this is not necessarily an episode of Indie Impressions in the way that normally things are, but I also like to do the occasional sort of outside of the box weird quirky toy of some kind, and this is kind of falling into that category, although I wouldn't say necessarily toy is the right categorization. Like I said, it's kind of a browser in a 3D space. So let's press the button here, and we can actually look around the three-dimensional LD maze of sorts. So it's a little bit of a different way to control a first-person camera than I'm used to. I have seen this done a few times before. I've never really been a huge fan of it, but essentially this is a tile-based grid, which is sort of making me think of, like, if you're walking through a dungeon in, Phantasy Star or something. The old ones that were sort of like a first-person perspective, but you would turn, and then you would, like, go around corners, and then, oh, look, there's a randomly slime, there's a slime in front of you or something. You have to fight it, and that's, well, maybe I'm thinking of Dragon Quest in that case. Anyway, so you use Q and E to turn left and right, and then WASD to move up, down, left, and right, but like strafe instead of turn, if you know what I mean. So there's no mouse look is what I'm trying to get at. And if you'll pardon the absolutely awkward controls here, it's just me getting used to things. So as you can see, we've got this big old maze made out of gray boxes, and occasionally one of these will show up that's essentially all of these are games that you can then play if you want to by pressing, I think, spacebar, which will take you to a web link, thereby, getting you to the actual game. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of these things all over the place, and like I said, nearly 2,500 games were submitted to this competition. I'm not sure if all of them were necessarily represented in this maze, but still, there's quite a few of them, and I did spend a few minutes walking around in here just to see what I could see. Now, the verdict's still out on whether or not this is necessarily a useful way to browse all of the content that gets submitted, considering there's a good percentage of these that you will simply never see because they may be located too far away from where the player spawns. And I don't know necessarily that you get put in a different place every time, because I feel like I've seen some of the same ones. If I'm wrong on that, then my mistake. But I did only, spend a couple of minutes with this. So you can see there's all the pictures are the ones I believe taken straight out of each one's respective LD submission page. And it does some strange things as it, like, warps perspective from side to side. If you can see, like, right here, where it says, I think it's a Super Water RPG, as it's sitting on the angled perspective, it's like a very strange slice of what that JPEG would have normally looked like. I guess because it doesn't really map it to the texture properly. It just sort of, like, grabs it like a screenshot. I don't actually totally understand why that happens. If you are available to tell me in the comments, I'd be kind of curious. As you can see it happening over here on the right, where it says surfing hot, and then when I turn it, it lines itself back up. So it's just like it's taking the square screenshot and then warping it to meet the perspective, but it's not really doing it quite right. Anyway, I'm not complaining or anything. It's just kind of a curious little bit of information that I was kind of wondering about, like what would be the mechanics behind why that would happen. You can see there's quite like an FOV thing going on too, and maybe what this is doing is it's warping things based on perspective more than it's actually like mapping things to three-dimensional space, if that makes sense. Like it's trying to do this mathematically. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I don't know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, here's a game I actually played on the show the other day, and that's kind of cool to run into in context here. I quite like that. I wonder if there's other ones that I've played. I've only done a couple so far for this submission bunch, but still, it's cool to see them all around, and I think this might be cool to let people run around in this and perhaps find some other games. And I think what this could be, and this is just me postulating and speculating, but not that this is necessarily officially sponsored or anything, but if this ever did become like a means that is endorsed by the actual competition, it could be kind of cool to turn this into like a multiplayer chat room where people can hang out and meet other people that are also looking at the games that are submitted, and maybe they could leave, viewer submission ratings, because right now there is a rating system for these and you can vote on them, but only if you're actually one of the competitors, like someone who submitted a game. So it would be kind of neat to see and to encourage the public at large to hang out here and maybe guide their friends over to a game that they find particularly enjoyable, and then, chat about it, or maybe it could even rank the games that are, given proper upvotes or whatever you want to call it. It could sort of proximity-wise spread those games out from the point of origin where the player spawns, outward in a radial pattern, so that we have a higher likelihood of running into the ones that are particularly well upvoted. That being said, I guess that could kind of lead to tunnel vision when it comes to rating them, because then the people will keep seeing the ones that are right around them. So, I don't know, you might end up in sort of like a Greenlight style conundrum. But it just seemed like a neat idea, and I kind of wanted to just show this off. Whether or not it really has a lot of meaning intrinsic to it is another matter, and one that I'd like to hear you guys discuss in the comments if you don't mind, particularly because this is not necessarily an episode of the series that is much like much else that I've done. And that's fine. I think that's kind of a natural progression to just about anything. Did I really, exhaust all of the paths that are available? Because I feel like I almost did. I probably just missed a big chunk of area or something. I would be very disappointed if I did already use all of them up. What is this? Heart of the Earth. That looks like something I would play. Maybe I'll cover that one next time. Who knows? Submarine Simulator. This is also kind of fun, too, because it lets me show a bunch of titles. Whether or not they look like they're going to be perfect for the show or anything, it just lets me kind of show them off and let people know that the sheer number of games that are available every single time one of these competitions comes to a close, it's staggering. And I get asked to cover hundreds of them many times. I get emails from all kinds of developers saying, hey, check this out. And, I generally look at just about every one that I get an email for, but I don't always cover them on the show. And it's just kind of neat to be able to show off all of the other ones. Like, a bunch of these have looked pretty cool, and I did look through all of the submissions as of, what was it, about 4 or 5 days ago, and there were about 1,600 then, and now there's, I think, over 2,000 or whatever I said before, 2,500, which is just wild. People are really working their butts off on these games. Anyway, I guess I'll let you go for now. Oh, what's going on over here? Oh, these are just web links, I guess. So, like, the ones that didn't have screenshots, maybe they just get aggregated to this maze by just having their link there? That's certainly not quite as compelling as looking at them with an actual image. It would be really cool to see that every single tile on the wall would have something on it. It's definitely kind of drab to just see a bunch of these gray boxes. You kind of want to have wallpaper on everything if possible. And given that there's so many games, it seems like it would be possible. And I'm glad to see that I actually just hadn't discovered a path that led to a whole bunch of other ones. The Missing Potato, now that sounds like a game that I could play. Anyway, like I said, I think I'm going to wrap this one up for the day. Hopefully you enjoyed some strangeness here, and hopefully you'll go check out the Ludum Maze, which will have a link right in the description. Let me know about any of the topics that I mentioned in the comments, and of course, if you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving a like, because it does help me out quite a bit, especially to know that you're still interested and you're still engaged in what I'm doing, and you want this series to continue on. As always, we're 750 so episodes in, so you know it's not like it's going to be new news that some people out there are interested in it, but you know, you do always want to keep growing and expanding and finding a new audience, and there's a lot of people out there that still don't quite know, perhaps, that indie games are a cool thing, and I want to let them know if I can. What is this? It's just just like a link to a Google page? That's weird. No, it's actually not that. Anyway, I will catch you for a new episode tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for watching, as always, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Talk to you later.